Mrs. O, welcome back
Yes, sir.
to our episode. Episode 2. The last episode was, my wife said, solid. So, guys, there's something we didn't tell you guys. By the way, thank you for the YouTube traffic. Thank you for the IG reading. We have like 319 reactions on IG.
Wow.
And the comments are many things. I won't read every comment, but I like one by my guy, Nahoro. He says, lovely projects, mixed emotions is something everyone should learn. If you remember, episode 1 talked about joy and grief can coexist, and that was the conversation in widowhood. On YouTube, we had some very lovely comments. So guys, basically, thank you. Follow us on Instagram at meet_the_O's, on YouTube at Meet the O's. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram. We like to do this because we're just sharing with you our story, and it's helping a lot of people. So, baby, welcome back.
Thank you.
Episode.
You're in the hot seat.
I'm on the hot seat.
Yes.
My heart, they do boom, 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 boom. They say, hey, Mrs. O is the host today. Let me be calming down.
Calm down. Don't worry. Just 2 questions.
2 questions. Over to you. Let's go there.
Welcome back, guys, and thank you for watching our first episode, following us, and dropping your comments. It meant a lot to us. And so today we're starting with Mr. O. He's hardly in the hot seats. He's mostly the one asking the questions. So today I'm happy to be the one doing this. And so today we're talking about divorce, which we've laid the foundation since our last episode. We said we're talking about everything. What is talked about, what is not talked about, what people shy away from, what people pretend not to know. We're here for it. So I'll just go right into it. Obi, so share your story. I think it would be good for just a background. So we would like to know about your story. Your story from when you were married up to the point where, you took that step of having a divorce or getting a divorce. Yeah, so just share your story.
Okay. So I would first like to establish, I think this may be the first time I'll be sharing it in full.
Yes.
First time. So this is going to probably give you a lot of context to many people who have been wondering, okay, what exactly is going on? I remember some guys who know me from way back are like, I think if I remember very well, this guy was married before now. Which one is this wedding again? It's been a crazy run. So yes, 2008, July 5th, I was married. Got married to someone that, was my wife. And prior to that time, we had dated for about 18 months. I met her when she was a core member. She was serving with one of my twin brothers.
Okay.
And, prior to that time, they had been saying, but you need to settle down. This way you are just focused on your work and your certifications. I've always been driven by work. I've always been passionate about work. Right? Oh my God. Digression. When I was dating this woman, she said, I feel that I'm third place after your work, your children, and me. And I went to Daddy and I said, why did try for this babe now? Which one is work and children and me? And I said, okay, we'll have to rework that. So
let's not digress.
Okay,
I
no
have a lot to
digression.
say
But
about that, but let's not digress.
so my younger brothers were like, no, you need to settle down. And they were like, there's this lady that we're serving together with, she's cool, she's this. And I was like, okay. So my brother then was serving in Akure. He was serving in Akure, and I went to Akure to see her
Again,
again.
lover boy.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, goodness. So when I saw her, the first thing I said was, I'll marry you. And she was like, just like that. Is that how it's done? I said, well, I'm not sure I'm interested in dating, cutting, all those long things I'm not doing. She was like, why? I said, no, I have a history that I don't want to rehash all that loving somebody, dating somebody. And that was it. So I told her point blank, I'm going to marry you. Between that time, which was around January 2007 and July, we were just there. You get? I remember those were the days of midnight calls. And I remember
this.
I'll say, okay, don't worry, we'll talk this night. So then she will call and call and call. I will pick the call. I just want to sleep. So it was just like that drag all through those months. And I can now remember one day I told her, I said, this thing really, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling this. I know what I feel when I really want to meet a woman. I'm not feeling this. And she's like, it's okay. So technically we called it off. And everybody went their ways, their different ways, separate ways. Then one day my mom calls me and she says, Babatunde, Funke called me and said you said you are not motivated. You will get this motivation.
Our mother's doing the most.
I said, no. I said, see, truly, I'm not feeling this. She said, this one, you will feel it. You're still hung up on, she was referring to my ex from the university. So backstory, I met a lady in the university. I was in 300 level. She was in 100 level. You know her. And we dated 5 years plus, and everything went off when I was a core member. So after that experience, the aspect of falling in love with a woman, doting on a woman, and I just felt like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
It was like too much work for me. So going from that into now supposedly cutting the person I married, I wasn't really invested in the relationship. I was not interested in being invested in the relationship. So when Monsi came up with, you have to find the motivation and all that, their concern was, you can't just be going.
Yeah.
They're just doing professional. Okay? It doesn't work like that. And what now didn't work to my advantage is that this woman comes from my place.
Yeah.
So it looked like our firstborn is dating someone from our place. What else is he looking for? So my mom kept saying, you will love her. She's a good person. And, to be honest, yes, good person. She's a good person. And so I was like, actually, she's a good person. Yes, maybe now my ex day my brain. Maybe with time, everything will be all right.
Yeah.
So yes, I went into that marriage believing that I was hung up on my ex. And with time, I would settle into this and everything will become happily ever after. Well, hey, that was wrong. That was wrong. So we got married, and honestly, not for one day did it change. Not for one day did it change. And I remember we did counseling after counseling, session after session, seeking help, asking questions. It was a whole mess.
Yeah.
So I was a very absent husband. I was not emotionally connected to her. I was always seeking ways to travel. In fact, I remember that I'll see a flyer. I will reach out to the organizers. I'll tell them I want to speak in your event. They say, we don't have a budget for you. I said, I will pay. So I will pay to travel to speak at people's events. Just because I wanted to leave the house.
Wow.
I'll stay in the office for so long, like anything to take me out of the house, I was up for it. So we just, at some point I recall we'll say we're just co-parenting. So yes, we had kids, of course. I've always been very involved with the kids. So they became like the reason why I was in, and all that continued and transpired. And honestly, because I was not attached to the person I married, of course, I started having a lot of external distractions. So I was everywhere. Crazy. And case in point, while the marriage was unattached, uninvolved, unemotional, we didn't have fights.
Okay.
Because when I left the marriage, some of the fears was, or some of the concerns people had was, were you guys fighting? We didn't have fights. So it wasn't like abusive marriage fighting. It wasn't that, and I recall some people were like, forgive her. Whatever she did to you, forgive her. And I'm like, it's not something that needs to be forgiven.
Yeah.
There's no offense anywhere that needs to be forgiven. It's just that I came to that point after 9 years of being in that marriage where I said, am I going to fulfill purpose in this marriage? Or am I just going to patch through because I have to be in this marriage? So I graciously, as God will have it, I have always been a popular person. It's something that came like his follow-come from the family. So I had this big reputation. Everywhere I go, people are drawn to me. I have enjoyed goodwill.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed favor. I have enjoyed help. But in the home front, nothing was happening. I wasn't building a home. I wasn't helping a woman I married.
Yeah.
I wasn't serving the woman I married. I was not able to switch into that mode. So here I was, knowing what I needed to do, but just feeling helpless, unable to do it. I remember a friend of ours, Kai Oga, she sponsored us to a program done by Family Worship Center. They call it Marriage Enhancement Course, MEC. And she was hopeful that if you guys can just go through this course, maybe something will change. We crashed out of the course. Because the activities that were required to be done in the course, we couldn't do it. We couldn't bring ourselves to do it because it required a part of us that would click.
Yeah.
It was not there. So at that point, I remember that eventful evening. I'd left the office in December 2016. I drove to her office. I picked her up after work. We drove home. As soon as we parked in the house, I said, I want to tell you something. She was like, okay. I said, I'm thinking that we should separate for a while and check if we really want this, if this is something we want.
This was after how many years?
This was in the 9th year.
Okay.
8th year. In the 8th year.
Okay.
Because we got married 2008. And then this...
2016, yeah.
Yes, this happened December 2016. So yes, 8th year. And she says, I don't want separation. I want a divorce. Then I said, but you know the way our laws are.
Yeah.
Our laws require that we are separated for 2 years minimum before we can even start prosecuting divorce. And she says, whatever you want. So she stepped out of the car. Of course, definitely caught on unawares and knowing the history of where we're coming from. She too was, I'm sure at that point she was like, anything you go up and make you up my beg, I don't tire, kind of a thing. So the next day I went to work, sat down, me, I'm a writer. I now chronicled everything in like a letter. So I was writing my dad.
Mm.
The first person I needed to communicate to was my dad. So I sat in the office, opened my laptop. I can still picture that day. I had a netbook, a small laptop. I opened it. And I was chronicling from the beginning. How I met her, what I remembered that transpired, the times I called off the relationship, the feedback I got, the backlash, the difficulty, what made me say yes, and the issues that happened in the marriage. I took time to chronicle everything. I think it was about 9 pages. I still have the letter till today. Then I emailed it to her and asked her if she felt what I wrote was the true picture of what we had. And I asked her for consent to get our parents involved. So when I got home, I was like, did you see the mail I sent to you? She said she saw it, but she hasn't read it. But she will take her time. It's okay. So yeah, she took her time. I can't remember how many days, but it wasn't for too long. Then she says, it's okay. I can tell our parents. Then I printed the letter. I called my pastor. He's not in Canada. I said, I need to see you, sir. So I went to I emailed a copy to him. Yeah, I guess. So he read it before I came, and he was like, yeah, he read it. He doesn't know what to say, but he's just asking, can I just give this thing one more shot? I said, honestly, unless I'm going to deceive you, at this point, no. I need to really move. I need to move. I'm just stuck. I know what I'm supposed to be doing in life, but I'm not able to do it because I feel like I'm lying to myself. Like I have a home front that is in disarray, but I'm helping people in public.
Yes.
It didn't connect. So I told myself, I told him, I said, it felt like I was lying.
Yeah.
Because people see me out there, I'm like, for everything fantastic, but
all put together.
I couldn't live with that lie again. So he was like, it's okay. Pray with me. So we prayed. Then 23rd of December, 2016, I now traveled to Lokoja to meet my parents. When my mom saw me, yay! Her son has come for Christmas. Yeah! I didn't tell them I was coming. Wow, what a surprise. Hey, this Christmas go bam. Hey, for my mind, I was to say, Kai, if only you knew. So, of course, I had a printout of the letter. Then that night I told Pops, I said, I for like see you. He said, it's okay, let's go inside. So we went into his room. So my dad has always been a reader. He has a lamp. He has always had it since I've known him, like since I was growing up. So we went into the room. He sat on his chair. Then I knelt down. So he said, no, sit down. I said, no, I'd like to stay this way. He said, is everything okay? I said, everything is okay. But what I'm about to share with you, I don't know how to start. He now said, Later, he said, at that point, he started sweating. That's what he said much later. He said, because he was wondering, he has never seen me in this mold.
Yeah.
So he was wondering, okay, what could be the issue? So I now told him that I brought a letter. I can't say what brought me, but I wrote everything. He said he even got more anxious, like, and he actually adjusted his seat. He was looking at me. I said, it's not a death matter, but it's a serious issue. He said, okay. I now passed the letter. He now turned on his table lights, opened the letter, kept it, and was reading it. You know, one hand this way, one hand on the table. He was reading, I guess, line by line, word for word.
Yeah.
And sighing, and reading and sighing. I was just there on my knees. When he finished, he raised his head, he looked at me, sighed again. He said, I've always known these issues, but I didn't think it would come to the point where you will leave. I said, yes, sir. He said, okay, don't take any other action. Wait for us to come to Abuja. Don't tell your mom. Let me find a way to let her know. So just keep this between me and you. I said, okay, sir. I said, please stand up. I stood up. I said, one other thing, sir. I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
Can you imagine? Just say, don't plan how to go market. Yeah. Her Baba today is here.
And you know, Momsi's birthday is Christmas Day.
Yes.
So in her mind, my first son is here for everything. So, I said, oh, wow. I said, yes, I'm going to Lagos. I said, I decided to take a break to spend time. I need to think through this very well. I said, it's okay. So I came out, went to the kitchen, met Momsi. You know your Grace now, energy. I said, Momsi, I did go Lagos tomorrow. I said, I was actually passing by. She said, haba now. No, it's not. Don't worry. I just needed to pass by and see you guys. So she was sulking like it's not fair. The next morning, I went to the park, off to Lagos, went to my favorite hotel on Joel Ogunaike in Ikeja, and spent a week. 31st of December, I came back home to do crossover with my kids. And so I stayed action. 7th of January, of course, prior to that, I had reached my siblings. Ralph was in Lagos then with his wife. Ife was with Tim in Abuja with his wife. So Popsy convened everybody, like everybody, you must be in Abuja on the 7th of January. So now prior to that, there had been exchange of emails, my family's email is an emailing family. Everybody gets updated by email. So Popsy had already emailed everybody. General, Popsy calls me General. General came. This was what he said. Apparently he had told Momsy already. So he was emailing. He emailed, General came, this was transpired, So we're meeting in Abuja. And Ralph's first reply was, Boda, you have to do it the right way. Make sure you get a proper divorce and you settle her. Popsy replied, nobody is divorcing anybody. Like, how dare you?
How dare you just move?
To be your first reply. What's wrong with you?
We're trying to
find a way to solve this divorce. Nobody's divorcing anybody, my friend. So when I saw that, I was like, I know they involved for this matter. I'm not going to check my mouth. So everybody convened, and it's usually a tradition in the family when we meet. But she wants to know, where are you? What's going on with you? How do we step in? How do we help? It's a ritual every time we meet. So that's how the meeting format started. And he said, General Zone will come last. So Tim and your family, let's hear from you. We've been here, we've been this is how the year has gone. You are starting this year, this way, Not like an AGM kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Abigail to everybody. Then we came to the crux of the matter. Then heard my side. Okay, no, they heard from Funke first. Okay, you know why we're here, what's going on? And she said quite a couple of things. My absence, which was, yes, very true. My lack of support, which was, yes, very true. And how frustrated she was about everything. And then came to me and I simply just shared the same things. And I said, if I was to summarize everything in one word, it was ideological differences. At the ideological level, we were not on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And neither of us was going to shift grounds on so many things. So yes, we were married, we have children, but at the ideological level, there was no way we could create some form of working why. And it was too tiring for me. Unfortunately, or maybe not unfortunately, I'm a very driven person. So when I have to literally do 3 times the effort to get things done when I could just move, it was really sapping for me. So that conversation, you won't believe, I think we started that meeting like 7 p.m. of that day. We didn't finish till like 4 a.m. of the next day. I'm telling you, the meeting was so long. In retrospect now, I'm trying to even remember what we were saying. 4 a.m. we're still having these conversations on it. We're on it, So the conversation there was like, okay, since we can't seem to convince you, now they were addressing me now. And, Popsy asked my siblings. My siblings were like, we should keep praying about Tim and his wife were like, let's keep praying about it, maybe God will help. And Ralph was like, anything the family says is okay by him. After that,
Yes.
backlash. Ralph's wife was like, her concern is if they don't allow me do what I need to do, she doesn't want, because then coincidentally there was a spike in suicide issues around that time. So Ralph's wife was concerned around, she doesn't want a situation where we say, you can't go. Family has decided you can't go. And then it will now turn to, but that took his life. That she didn't want that kind of thing to ever happen.
Yes.
So she was of the opinion, if that's what I want, they should just leave me.
Yeah.
Because she, that was her own response. And it was like a lifeline for me because at least I felt like, okay, maybe at least somebody's listening. You get? Momsi, of course, was never going to agree. She cried from the beginning of our talk when it came to our turn. I think from that point till that 4 a.m., she go cry, stop. Like Momsi was broken. She was a mess. I was just resolute that no, I'm not doing this. Somehow I just told it was like a vision came to me. It was like a visual thing that said, you're either going to make it in this life or forgo making it and stay here. That was the picture I had. It was a picture of, do you want to really flourish and blossom? Or do you just want to stay here dead? That was the picture. So I didn't have a doubt that I was going to leave. It didn't, for me, I wasn't waiting for what family will decide. It was more like, well, family will do the normal thing family does. Of course, it would have been very unrealistic for my parents to jump on it and say, okay, okay, he says he wants to go, leave him now. Man, it wasn't going to be easy, not with the kind of parents I had. My dad is someone you have to convince Popsy. That's why I'm going to Lokoja to tell him. I didn't even know how to say it. Like, the thing is, babe, just the fact that I could face Popsy and tell him that I was leaving my marriage cured every fear in this life for me. Till today, there's no human being I cannot face just because of that singular experience. The fact that I could face my father and say, even though I couldn't say it with my mouth, but the fact that I could even communicate it and say, I'm leaving this marriage, for me, it cured any fear of telling anybody anything. I just suddenly realized that if I go tell my papa with who will you be? Like in the scheme of things. So it had its impact. You get? So after that meeting, coincident, as God will have it, I had some good inflow. I asked Funke. No, I advised. I said, so we're living here. We have neighbors. I would suggest that we move you guys to a new place where you're not known. So nobody's asking, where's Oga? Where's Oga? I didn't want that embarrassment for them. So I paid for a new house. We had one car then. I, of course, released the car. I rented a different house for myself somewhere out of, in another side of town. And that was the beginning of the journey. So I moved. I took the dog along, moved my books, left every other thing, got new stuff for myself, moved them to a new house, got them settled. Then we agreed on, okay, what will be my monthly responsibility. We agreed on the visitation systems and styles. And since 2016 till now, not one day of default. You get? Not, the early issues I had of fears were the girls.
So let me stop you there. Coming to that. So let me stop you there because I really want, we've heard the story, we've listened to you share about, what you went through and how you came to making that decision of leaving the marriage and all that. But before we now go into you leaving the marriage physically and then finally, legally getting the divorce and all that, I would want So when you said, we agreed about how to go about the responsibilities and everything, what was that like? Was that a cordial conversation? Because so I'm speaking from a woman's point of view now. We usually have a lot of emotions invested in relationships. I don't want to say more than the men, but because I'm a woman, I'm speaking from a woman's point of view. We're usually heavily invested emotionally in relationships. So I want to assume and believe that it wasn't easy for her to just say, okay, since he said he's going, it's fine by me, and she moves on. So how did you get to that point of opening and having that conversation without it turning to either use and dump, or you betrayed me, I gave you the best part of my youth, and then now you're discarding me? Do you understand? You get? So I'm just wondering, because I'm putting myself in that position, and I'm wondering, will I have that conversation, all smiles and all, okay, well, it's life. It's later that you get to that point of acceptance of, okay, it's life. Actually, you can't force somebody to stay, who start bringing all those wise sayings. But at that point, at that very point where it's real for you and it's happening, I don't think any philosophy is going to heal the pain or the hurt.
Yes, very, very true question. I'll be honest with you. I think it's only got to, I'm assuming now, that maybe there was a major shift in her energy when we got married.
Okay.
Because even I saw clear difference between how we were relating while I was still single and divorced. Because we were separated 4 years before I filed, and then the divorce came through almost speedily. And I would say that she really let go, like released and said, since you say you don't want. It was a lot of back and forth. Okay. There were times when she would ask me, what exactly would I do for you to reconsider? There were times she would ask me, what exactly is the gravity of what has happened for you to not for one day say you reconsider? For example, sometimes she would say things like, if nothing for these girls. So it's not something that she just easily just said, after all, he said, do. It was a lot of struggle. And then because she too has her major crowd, she's also a very influential person. There was a lot of, we will fight for her kind of energy. Like, how dare you? How dare you? It's not you that we know that did this, and now you have the audacity to want to leave her. So there were people who were, I will fight for her. There were people who were like, we will never do anything with him again in this life, which till today, some people have said, anything that guy, we're not doing. So yes, it was a long stretch of things. When it came to the issue of the monthly responsibilities and what one will do and not do, even before we had the conversation around the separation, I already knew that I will never cede or relinquish my responsibilities. One of my topmost core values is responsibility. So I never for once ever thought, you go to pay your rent, not to concern me. You go to pay school fees for the children. It has never crossed my mind. Never. So things around their upkeep, things around the, home front, things around school fees, rent, ab initio, I didn't even have a problem with that. Was already a design. I knew that for life, school fees on me, you get, and all those kind of stuff. When it came to the Naira and Kobo, of course, based on the pattern of the expenses, I said, I made most of the propositions because, like you said, it wasn't something she was going to say, okay, since you decided to go, you'll be sending this.
Yes.
To be fair to her, she never did. She never told me, you will be paying 2 million, you'll be paying 1 million.
Yeah.
I made the proposition to say, okay, based on the pattern of the expenses, this is what I think I can send every month. What do you think? And she's like, anyone is okay. So, but over time, one of the things I've also made sure I've done, for example, in the course of the years, made sure that the upkeep is upwardly reviewed based on
The current,
on my own. I'll just tell her, I've looked at the way this thing is going. Bless, I will send you. I will send. And she's like, oh, thank you very much. So she's always acknowledged that. In fact, one thing she told my dad before we were divorced, one thing she told my dad was, he still does everything. So I still can't understand why he left. You know, people tell me, oh, I met your wife, I spoke with her, she said she doesn't know why he left. And I think it's a difficult thing to communicate, especially because, like I said, we weren't fighting.
Yes.
It wasn't like we were cursing each other, beating each other, trying to destroy each other. So it was difficult to comprehend. Una know they fight.
Yes.
But una know fi stay together. Which just one of the lessons I learned was two independent good people may not be good for themselves.
May not be good for
themselves. That was the only explanation I could give you, because I can't tell you today that she harmed me, offended me, or did something that was out of this world. No, in fact, if you look at the empirical information, I did more of the hurting. I did more of the, I not deal with you for this money. Now you marry me, I no marry. So it was like I was a married single man, just fathering two daughters that I had. So really, it was a very tough process for her. I can say that for a fact.
Yes.
You know, I remember sometimes she could say some things out of anger, and my dad would say, what do you expect her to do? So again, my dad was a real sounding board a lot of times, because he keeps drawing me back to the fact that you don't expect to leave her and not expect her to,
and still
to be in pain.
Like dictate how she respond to it or react to
so
it.
Those conversations really went a long way to give me context. Gave me context a lot. Sometimes I want to do some things and I'll call my dad and say, I'm trying to do this. And you say, speak with her. Then I really want to give my dad credit, at this point, because many times, for example, all the management of her family, my dad put himself in the line. He was going to their house. At some point, it looks like he was going every week, just to go and explain, pacify, give them context, relate. And they were not really, it wasn't like they were really open to it, but I think he just made it a point of duty that I resonate with this boy at a level. He may not be able to face this burden, maybe because of language barrier, or maybe because of my aversion to conflict. So he took it upon himself. And then even with,
father,
and even with Funke too, anytime I have a conversation with him and I do what he advises and I speak with her or reach out to her, he now goes back to reach out to her and say, so I was talking with my son today and we said this and we said this, and I thought I should check with you if he did. So she was even telling Popsy, sir, just relax, I'm okay. And he's constantly checking, so Popsy went a long way. Momsy, on the other hand, was confused. She was confused because I remember she asked me, what do you want me to do now? I carried this girl as my child. Then now you expect me to just act like she didn't matter. Like, what do you expect me to do now? I recall that one Christmas, one of her birthdays, I think when she clocked 60, we did it in my house. And Mom, she was crying throughout her birthday party. Why is she celebrating? Her first son's house is not in one place. And she's celebrating. What's the purpose of celebrating? My younger brothers were like, no, this one don't they pass, be careful. You're making it about you, and they had to tell her that he said he doesn't want. Can we start approaching that from that context, And I had to tell her, I said, see, while I feel your pain, I must establish one fact. I would rather stay single for the rest of my life than go back to that marriage. Not because the person I married is evil, but if I will go there, there's a big thing I'm sacrificing. I'm just forgoing all I've known about my purpose and life. So I think that statement did something to her. I asked her, I said, I sat she and Popsy in my sitting room. I said, I am 40 years old. In these 40 years, have I at any point one day acted erratic? Like I acted in a way that you're wondering, is this the song we had? They said no. I said, so if for 40 years I've never acted in a way that made you question whether you are my parents. Then at 40, I will now start acting that way. I said, does it not give you some form of comfort that I know what I'm doing? I had to have these conversations with them for them to not feel, hey, what has come over this guy? Those conversations, so they were tough conversations. They were hard conversations, not one, not two, not three, not 10. They happened back to back, back to back. Also go and see her parents, come back and say, they said this, they said that. And I have to explain their assumptions or their suspicions or their accusations. It was a lot. And of course, there was this side of people, the backlash on my parents. I was maybe not approachable by people who could, because I'm a very private person. And then Popsi is an elder in church. Momsi is as good as a pastor, leading women fellowship and all that. And they two were like at crossroads, like how do we manage this? So it was a lot. It was really a lot, really. But one thing that just stands out for me at the end of the day is, I remember telling Funke, I said, I would really love our separate ones to be amicable. And she said, I've never seen an amicable divorce. That statement became my motivation. I prayed. I kept praying. I said, God, I know like problem. I know sabi fight. How this thing will be amicable? Do it for me. It has not been easy, but I will be honest, it has been a lot easier when you compare it to what I hear about divorces and all that. So, while I won't say it's been rosy, smooth, but I won't want to have it any other way than I have to date. But honestly, it was tough.
So when you were talking just now, you mentioned how because of the backlash and everything, and I know that usually the common causes of divorce, abuse, infidelity, infertility, what again? So, that's why in law, we now did the irreconcilable differences, the one that doesn't have name, who put it under that one. So, like in your case, a lot of people cannot understand. If it was the other way around, and she decided to leave first, some of the questions they will ask her: is he beating you? No. Is he sleeping with you? Yes. Is he paying school fees? Yes. You have a roof over your head and he brings food to the house. What else do you want? That's just like the usual. So for her to come and say, we're not compatible, he's not open, he's always very, you'll be looking at her like, sure, it's not too much film you have been watching like this. Which one is this one again? Do you understand? Yes. Is the world though that they used to do this kind of thing? That he did not eat your food, then you left. So it's difficult for us in this part of the world to understand. If it's not anything tangible that we can touch, we can, hold like this and say, okay, this is a valid reason. Because I think even for our parents, even for our siblings, even for our pastors, while they will not say leave, divorce, we've heard instances of, abuse and violence, and they still say, keep praying for the person. Just keep praying, God will do it. But so even for them, it's like somehow we need a justification on why we are supporting your decision.
Yes.
So I'm just imagining, the backlash, the number of people that maybe you felt would understand with you when you say that you just could not continue because you could not work with remaining in that marriage and fulfilling purpose and doing what clearly that you're supposed to do and walking that path. And even the Bible says that if the two don't agree. So it's a difficult thing. So I just want you to shed a bit of light on that backlash and, will I say the disappointment or from quarters that you expected that, nah, I didn't think I'll have to explain this twice. I just felt that coming from you or here, it would
knowing
be,
the
yes.
history.
Mm.
So, if Funke had filed for divorce on the basis of infidelity, should have been correct, because there were a lot of them. So the fact that she didn't, because she actually tried to fight for that marriage, she did everything she could. Because already I knew this thing, I could just die for here. Let me save myself. So that was the standpoint of me going. And yes, that was the first backlash.
Yeah.
The first backlash from familiar people, friends that were close to us, who knew the stories, who knew the histories, who knew the times when, Coach Sam, they try, no, don't do this. And then Coach Sam actually is the one that left. Is he mad? What's wrong with that guy, sir? What's his problem? And I remember how she'll be saying, be careful, oh, people are not happy with you. Be careful. You think people like you. That's the same Funke will be telling me, be careful. You think people like you. I saw your picture of so person. I won't say anything, but be careful. So she was getting all the, how dare he? How dare he? How will he do that to you? And then they'll come around and try to act friendly around me. And she's wondering, okay, I don't get what people are playing at. And she's saying, okay, give yourself sense. So the first backlash was from people who felt it was not in my place to take that step. It was in her place to take that step because she was the one that was offended. Very valid. So that's the first backlash. The second backlash was from people who don't believe that divorce is right.
Yeah.
And I recall one day somebody shared my post on Facebook and one strange somebody, I don't know that person, came and said, I like everything about this guy except that he allowed his marriage to fail. One statement like that. And the person who shared my post is a protege. He was embarrassed on my behalf. And I came and commented and I said, it's okay that you're not okay with it. And my protege sent me a message and said, this is why I love you, sir. You are so vulnerable. I said, shall I go kill myself? I know why I took that decision. And I stand by it. And it's been how many years now? Going 8 years. I am very, very standing by it. I have childhood friends who, seeing me remarry, they're saying, this is our Sam that we know. Our Sam is goofy, he's playful, he's lively, he's alive. Now we don't get you back. So I get this feedback and I'm wondering, okay, at least it's beginning to show that I made that decision to help myself, to save myself. So yes, that backlash has always been there. Have I heard people say, we will never give him a job?
Yeah.
2 of my mentors have called me and said, I won't tell you who said what, but what transpired in my house today, they were on my case. How will you still being his mentor? What do you mean you're still his mentor? Don't you see that how could he? And we're not giving him any work. And one of my mentors said, have you given him work before? That they said no. So how is it now that you don't give him work that we matter?
He'll know it.
Because it looks like we will make sure that we sabotage him, we will make sure that we frustrate him, kind of it. So yes, I still get those vibes. I still get vibes from people who just zoned out. And they're not engaging me anymore. They're not talking to me anymore. You message them there. So you can tell that they're like, I'm not sure I'm comfortable associating with you. And I'm okay with that. So for example, and I'll be honest with you, before I took that decision, there were some beliefs I had to tell myself. I said, 1, if it means starting from the beginning all over again, I will do it. So even that time, having grown by God's grace a strong personal brand, I knew that this may mean the end of me. And somehow I just told myself, honestly, I would rather that. So somehow in my mind, I already made peace with the fact that it may go really, really south.
Yeah.
And somehow I felt more comfortable with that. I don't know why I felt like, I know Sir would do okay. I don't know where that came from, but I told myself I would rather start all over again. So the part of whether I was expecting some people to believe me or not, I think I had settled that in the sense that I couldn't pinpoint who may not believe me, but I was ready for anything.
Yeah.
You know, and the beautiful thing is some people were very vicious and angry and cut me off and stayed away. Some now started coming back and were like, I just thought of it that really there's nothing else one can do about it. And then suddenly they are open to now being friends. I remember that somebody once told me, people see me with you and see me with her and they say I'm two-faced. And I'm wondering what they're expecting me to do. And I tell my friends, I know you're taking your own side of the backlash, but please don't fight anybody because of me.
Yeah.
It's okay if you don't want to associate with me and you rather associate with my ex-wife. Honestly, if I tell my friends, I need her to be all right because we have children that live with her. I need my ex-wife to be fine. I need her to be able to prosper because I can't have my two daughters who live with her see her in misery. It's not going to be favorable to me. So I'm not afraid of losing people. While I don't look forward to losing people, I'm comfortable that if you decide that I'm not worth your friendship, I'm at peace with that. So those were things I had to tell myself that helped me. So yes, was I disappointed at some people's decision? It's like, wow, I actually didn't think I gave this thing a thought. I actually thought I just woke up and just decided to do this. Or you think maybe I'm a child. I'm not grown enough to know what's good for me. So you're angry that I'm self-preserving. I'm like, it's okay. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really crazy, honestly. One last part I'll tell you. There's this man. So in case my parents get to watch this by accident, they'll be very surprised. There's this man who was a reverend in our church when we were growing up in Gombe then. He was like our family pastor. So when he saw my Facebook, unfortunately, not unfortunately, I've left Facebook. One of those days when I was still on Facebook, when he saw my post about, being happy and moving on, he came to my post and said, "How are the mighty fallen? You were raised in a godly home, and you have lost your soul. And I pray that the Lord delivers you before it's too late. My brother, sir, I pray for you. I just said, thank you, sir. I screamed the chat and sent to my younger brothers and trust Ralph, your brother. Ralph is the militant. It's like, from where to where?
Where is this one coming
This
from?
man don't even send your mental health, your emotional. What do you mean? This one is that. I say, Oga, I know you. You see this conversation, make it end for here. So these are the things.
Yeah.
People who think that because you chose life, you are dead. And me, I'm leaving.
Yes.
So the backlash is still there.
Okay, so now in just a few sentences, from when you left, when you now filed, the divorce process, when you started living alone,
Yes.
just in a summary, what was that like? Because from being married for 9 years, having children, that company and all that, even if it wasn't all rosy, to now living alone, which I'm assuming you did. I'm assuming you lived alone. So to living alone till you did not live alone again. What was that like? What was that like for your mental state? What was that like for your relationship with people? establishing the fact that you're a private person.
Yes.
You're not a gather people kind of person. And then what was that like? How did that also affect your career, your business, your relationship with, because sometimes either out of frustration or disappointment or whatever, we now transfer it to the people that are closest. And I think for you then, the people that were closest were your staff members. Yes. So what was that like?
For a better word or want of word, I wanted to say like a buffet of feelings or something. I'm a private person.
Yeah.
So to a large extent, it looked like, my space. I wake up how I want. How I leave my house is how I meet it. I sleep when I want. Like, there was that serenity. I had my dogs. I had my favorite TV channels or shows. So there was that form of organization that I was enjoying. Then there were times when I was really, really in need. For example, 2018, between January and February, I fell into depression. I was so depressed. I remember one night, I actually thought I won't wake up the next day. My head was I could feel it swelling. I just told myself, okay, this is how people die. So this is how people die. Like I was rehearsing that, oh wow. I was waiting to start seeing me leaving the body. Because I was like, okay, maybe this is how people die. That night was gory. So there were nights when I was really distressed. There were days when I was not even interested in eating food. Like there were days I missed my girls so badly. I'll be crying like, I'm not going back, but I want my girls. So there were days like that when, okay, I know that I'm not going back, but how do I make sure that I'm so there were days I'll wake up 5:36, I'm heading to their house. I just want to carry my children to school by myself. Let me even feel like, I saw them this morning. Then my day is good. So it was a potpourri of emotions. It was a lot. Depressive days, good days. There were days when I just want people to come around. Like, I'll just organize one, let's get together and come and eat, and my staff will help organize. And honestly, my staff, man, they came through. Like, they were constantly helping, constantly being there for me. It was a very crazy period of mixed emotions. So I won't say that I did enjoy it. I really did, because it served my personality.
Yeah.
I loved the privacy it came with. My daughters would call me a room plant. Now me get 3-bedroom apartment now, but now only one room a day. I'm there morning till, if I'm not even living there, sometimes I'll not step out of my room. I loved it. But again, there were days I'm like, what are you even doing? Why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you hurting yourself like this? So yes.
Okay, so now just to wrap up in 3 sentences. So okay, in 2 sentences, if you're to speak to your younger self before you got married the first time, what would you tell your younger self? 2 sentences. And then also for couples that are already married right now, and they just believe that if Coach Sam can get divorced, what is there again?
It's the standard.
It's the standard. He has done it. They will now go back after watching this one to go and meet their spouse. Say, I'm not doing my mental health compatibility. They'll start speaking English. Please, just in 2 sentences.
To go back to my younger self, don't let anybody pressure you to marry whom you really don't want to marry. The truth has to be your truth.
Yeah.
Because look now, if I had saved myself the embarrassment of even doing it the first time, my ex-wife told my mom, she said, Sam married me for you. He didn't marry me for himself. And it made sense. So if that person is not your person, you will know. Nobody needs to tell you. Yeah, my time is going, I'm late, I'm growing older, I wish I was married now, all that. Yeah. Unfortunately, yes, these things are pressures that happen. Your friends are getting married. You wish you were married on time. You want to have children at a particular age so that you can move on with life. All these things can be part of the package. But my own is, when you now decide that I don't ready to marry, you have to actually marry the person that you know that this one, now me choose them. Not marry because my father, my mother, my siblings, my friends. No. So that for me is one key thing that I would always advise.
Because you pay my school fees. So sometimes it's not even the pressure from people.
Yeah, it's the fact that
yes, you feel that this person
so much in me and I cannot leave him. So honestly, I think altogether, really, it still boils down to whom we even date and decide to cut. If there's no point making long-term decisions with a person that does not look long-term to you, it actually is wickedness. I think that I was very naive, and I take responsibility for making that decision in 2008. So that's something I would really tell my younger self. The second question again was,
so the people that are already in the marriage.
In a marriage.
Yes.
Today now, I'm married. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that in this life, I'm going to have a divorce again. Because now I'm married to someone that I share a lot of values with whom I'm able to evolve, that gives me room to really fly. So I need to establish a fact. I'm not the one that will say, go for a divorce. I don't really believe in divorce. I just had to save my life by going through a divorce. So it's not like, oh, any small thing, carry, that's a cake, I'm going. No, I don't believe in divorce. But where you find your truth and you say, this thing is actually more like killing me, it's more like taking away from me what I can't afford to let go. It is not allowing me fulfill my understanding of what God has called me to do. And this is not, it has not to do with abuse, those very particular things. This is the part of irreconcilable differences. You can tell yourself that this marriage is killing me. I'm dying. You have to own up to that fact and then ask for counsel. Because one thing I have to say here is the fact that the fact that you want to have a divorce, if that's the right way you can say it in law, or you want to divorce, whichever is the correct English, should not remove from you the responsibility to be kind to your spouse. That I have to say very clearly. True. That I've stopped being married to Funke does not give me the right to be unkind to her, irrespective of what transpired before the divorce. So my take is, divorce is not the first thing to jump at. Honestly, I don't like divorce. But if it has to save your life, I would choose divorce. I would rather stay alive than not go for a divorce because I don't want to divorce. So I don't know if I'm communicating rightly, but my point is, if you are married and you're not sure whether you want to go for a divorce or not, and you're struggling with that decision, I think the first place to start with is, do I feel that this marriage is taking my life from me? If I think so, seek counsel from very level-headed people, not your friends that will say, you said, when we've been telling you, say, make you no drown. No, go to level-headed people. Like I said, the first person at all that I met was my pastor. The second person I met was my father.
Your dad.
Then it was family.
Yeah.
Then I now wrote people like Leke Alda. I wrote people like, Sam Adeyemi, Lanre Olushola, the Catalyst. I wrote senior people whose feedback generally now gave me context if I acted on my convictions. So for me, those are the things I would say, really.
Okay. You actually said a lot. So guys, actually this is the first time that Mr. O is saying this in a public space and, giving the whole story. So yes, you're privileged to be one of the first people to hear it from him. At least now, hopefully to reduce all the corner of, is it true? Is it not true? Is this what he did? Is not what he did? But anyway, thank you guys for staying with us this far, and we hope to see you next time. Yo. Till next time, guys. It's bye from us.
Bye, guys.